where the new guide is founded. That is customer centricity for PMOs. So the idea is that we can focus on understanding and addressing the needs and expectations of our customers. And this way, we will deliver tailored solutions designed to address these unique challenges of each organization. So if I know my customer, if I know his or her pains, I can create proper solutions. If I just try to find the ideal PMO and open one of those boxes, the chances to find in one of those boxes the exactly right medicines that my customers need, the probability is not really high, right? Because nothing was developed for you. But maybe if you open many of those boxes, you can find what you want. And when you put everything together, you have the PMO that you need. So it's a much more flexible model, something that will be totally connected with the real needs of your customers and the real needs of your company. So this model, this guide, instead of providing you like a standard, like telling you how a PMO should be, absolutely. This is not what you will find in the guide. The guide will tell you how you can create your solution. So it means that if I use it, the result will be this. And if you use the guide, the result will be that. And maybe if I use it again next year in the same company or in a different company, the result will be different also. And why? Because I'm always aligning with the current needs, the current expectations, right? So it's something much more flexible. We'll never tell you how your PMO should be, but we will tell you how you should think to create your own solution. That's what we are, right? We need to create solutions. So then we come to the new PMI-PMO practice guide. It will be released by December, in December actually, in our conference that will happen in Istanbul, right? December 9th and 10th. So you are invited to come. Last year we had a very nice edition in Paris, and this year it will be in Turkey. So we are very, very excited. Now it became a global PMI event. So now it's not only PMOGA event, but it's a PMI official event in the global at the global level. So it will be a very, very nice conference with many, many new things. So we'll have the PMO Global Awards ceremony as usual, but we will have the release of the new guide and other great things that are coming up. For example, probably you already heard about that report named the most influential projects worldwide. It's a very traditional report that PMI usually release from time to time, and we will have for the first time the most influential PMOs worldwide. So it's another new thing that will be released by the end of the year. So many exciting things will come up now after the merger of PMOGA into PMI. So let me tell you a little about the guide, right? This guide will have around more than 300 pages, right? It could be more, but we couldn't have too many many more pages than PMBOK, right? It would not be really good. So actually we were limited to 300 to 320, but there is a plan to develop, you know, that Standards Plus, a virtual area that we have at PMI website. The plan is that we can start to develop in 2025 Standards Plus. So this way we can have some online material that can complement the guide, right? Because otherwise it will have 1,000 pages, right? So this is the idea. But it's a very comprehensive material. And everything started with the PMO customer, of course. They can be executives, project managers, project team members, everyone who is served by the PMO, as I told you. And then we have our first layer. Actually, it's the background. In the background, we have four important things. The organizational strategy, of course, everything should be connected to it. We have the culture and the maturity of the organization. It's very important because if you have a company with a low maturity, for example, or without a culture in projects, things will be different, of course. The third one is the organizational structure. It will define where the PMO will be connected and who the PMO will serve. So there are many aspects important. And finally, the industry specific profile, because a PMO that is serving, for example, a capital project company, right, will be different, quite different from a PMO that is serving a technology company, right? So the industry will influence the way that the PMO will be behaving, I could say. And then we have the second layer. The second layer is the PMO structural components. And we have basically three. Now we are talking about a PMO. The PMO mandate, the PMO strategy, and the PMO governance. Let me tell you a little more about the PMO strategy, but before PMO mandate, PMO governance will tell you basically who you are, what you're gonna do, right? Who will be your customers, responsibilities, everything is defined in what we call PMO mandate. It will generate a PMO charter, right? And the PMO governance. But the PMO strategy is something really cool because a PMO should generate value over time, right? And it's not based on a coincidence of actions. Actually, it's something planned. So if I know that my company is in the very beginning, for example, a low maturity, I have to plan how this PMO will evolve over time, how it will generate and deliver value over time, how I will develop my customers over time. So everything we will find in the PMO strategy is how we will create a strategy of evolution of our PMO. So after that, we have the next layer. And the next layer is something really cool that we brought from other area, the area of customer experience. And we created a PMO customer experience cycle. This is something very strong because actually the idea is that we can connect with other practices that usually we haven't used them in the PMO area, right? So now we are bringing many good practices new for PMOs, most, I could say mostly, but they can help a lot. And we create a customer cycle, a customer experience cycle with 5 big steps: exploration, design, deployment, enhancement, and realization. I'm going to give you more details because each step of this cycle will be divided in 2 sub-steps. You will see how it works. So the next and last element is exactly this one, the value generating PMO flywheel. I don't know how much you are aware about this concept of flywheel, but it's something really, really powerful. And why? Because the concept is you can leverage the momentum, the inertia. So actually, every time that you complete a cycle, the next one will benefit from the movement, right, of the last cycle. So it means that it's not only a cycle; it's like a spiral, right, where you will get all the advantages of this evolution. So it means that the next cycle will be much better than the last one because now you have more information, you have more engagement, you have a better measurement, you have better results. So all of this will help you to create something much better in each of these cycles. And these cycles, usually they are annual, right? But basically, for those that already had contact with the PMO value ring, original one, the methodology, now you see 10, not 8. And also, these 10 steps, they are not directly correlated to the other 8 steps. You will understand why. So basically, we have 10 steps. The first one is part of the exploration. So we have awareness building. It's the moment where we are preparing, we are educating our customers because this is the way that they will be able to show their expectations, what they want. They will understand the value of the PMO, right? So this specific step is very, very important because it will prepare our customers and make them partners in the long, long term, right? The second one is needs assessment. For those that already know the original PMO value ring, it looks a little like step one, right? But it's needs assessment, step two. So now, based on outcomes, you should remember the benefits. Now we have a new list of outcomes, benefits, that will let us understand who our customers are and what they want from the PMO. There is an assessment for that. Then I have the value proposition. It's when I create the value proposition of my PMO. I define, for example, the services that should be provided. So it looks like step two of the original methodology, but with more things. So step three is when I will develop the services. So I will create my service but with many details that we've never discussed before. Now we brought some new ideas, things that will let you create services much more adapted to the specificities of your company. So number four here looks like number three, number four, number five. There are many aspects from the original PMO value ring that we brought to step four. All of them are together on step four. Step five and step six, these two steps are part of the deployment and they are very, very interesting. The first one, especially, it's something quite new, right? So if we are implementing a new service, the onboarding is very, very important because sometimes PMOs fail because they don't know how to help customers to absorb the services that they are proposing. So the combination of these two steps, onboarding and operation, is something really powerful that can generate a much higher possibilities of success when you are implementing the PMO services. Then part of the enhancement, we have 7 and 8, service performance and service maturation. Service performance is when I'm measuring the efficiency of what we are doing. So it's about service performance, right? But not about delivering value yet. It's about if I'm doing in the best way possible what I'm supposed to do. For example, if you are providing a methodology, what is the adoption rate, right? So this is what we are trying to do here. So we have indicators and so on. And the maturation, it's a totally new maturity model for services, for PMO services. For those that already use it, the previous one, we had four levels for each service. Now we have a new list of services, an update from the community, and 5 levels of maturity for each service. It's really, really interesting. And then we have something that we never had before, and it's something very, very, very important. It's the realization. And realization is divided in 2 steps, value delivery and value recognition. Value delivery means, okay, I'm measuring if I'm delivering the value that I promised. So I'm measuring if I really heal the pain, right? So that's what justify the services that I'm providing. But step 10 will let me measure if my customers really feel that now they are in a better situation. So if their demand, if they're paying, if they don't feel that pain anymore. So it's something more subjective, but very, very important because it's about perception of value. So number 9 is something more tangible. We are trying to check, for example, if projects now are being delivered on time. Okay, we can measure that. But step number 10 is about, okay, how is our customer that motivated that specific outcome? So they said that they believe that that projects were failing. So now let's check if this feeling really changed or not. Sometimes we realize that our previous evaluation was maybe a little different than what it should be. So it means that we are delivering the promised value, but it's not enough to generate real perception of value for our customer. And you can say, oh, Americo, but I'm doing my job. Not really, because your job is not only delivering value, but it's continuing in this flywheel. It means that I'm trying to develop trust-based relationships. So just delivering value without perception is not enough, because you will lose momentum for the next cycle. What I need to have is value that is being recognized. That's what will push you for the next cycle, right? So this is what we have, right? So this is the new value generating PMO flywheel, a very, very powerful tool. And remember, in the guide, we have details, of course, right? As I said, more than 300 pages. We have details and tools, some assessments, something that can help us. So what's next? It will be delivered, released in December, as I said, and we will immediately start to work over 2025, and this complements, right, that will be available online. The certification, PMO certification, will be updated, of course, in January, right? So it means that there will be some changes, including number of questions, right? That will jump from 40 to 120. So things will be a little more challenging after January. And there will be other specific changes that will be important to ensure that we can have a gold standard certification in the same level of all other PMI certifications, right? And that's it. So the value of a PMO is not a destination, but a continuous journey of evolution and transformation, right? So that's what we are looking for when we are creating something like that, understanding what value really means for PMOs and how we can deliver it for our customers and be recognized. That's our big objective, right? That's it. That's what we have for now, right?
Thank you so much, Professor Americo, for this fruitful information, and definitely is very useful. I have a couple of questions, and then we encourage others to have questions. Just send it in the chat, and I will give the opportunity later. It is interesting in the flywheel, the value mentioned 3 times, third, 9, and 10. However, it is some sort of challenge how to the BMO provide a real value. For example, when we said we hear that the SMO, for example, or BMO, if it is strategic, it means that it gives a value. Hey, I'm working in a portfolio, enterprise level, I already deliver value. This is the first one. The second one, which I think also important, sometimes you work with stakeholder or a manager, he need a short term value like reporting, accurate reporting, time reporting. And also, maybe by the time he will shift from reporting to more tangible thing in the project. So he cannot wait for the long time. So how to balance between these to approach the BMO strategic is mature, and how to satisfy the stakeholders. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Very good. So Look, first of all, there is something that is also part of our initial ideas related to the PMO value ring before the guide, that is the understanding of what maturity means, right? So being strategic doesn't make you mature, because what makes you mature is doing very well what you are doing. So
Mhm.
sometimes you can be more strategic, sometimes you can be more operational. But what will tell you what you have to be is not maturity, it's alignment.
Mhm.
Alignment with the needs. And you can say, oh, Americo, but PMO should be more strategic. It depends. It depends. Because, in fact, if you look closer, most of the PMOs, even those that are a little more strategic, they are also tactical and operational. Definitely. There is nothing wrong with that. And it's possible that in certain situations, we have PMOs with a more tactical and an operational focus. It's not a problem. It can happen for because of many different reasons. One of them, for example, it's a lack of maturity in your customer, in your executives. For example,
Mhm.
they don't have enough maturity, so they don't see the value of very strategic things yet. So what can you do? Can you push what they don't feel that it's important for them right now? Or you can just do what they need, but also seed for the future, because they will mature, they will evolve, right? But if you try to give a car for a child, the result is not really good, right? We have to make this child a teenager and an adult. So more and more, this individual will be able to see the value of what you are doing. So one thing is alignment. The other thing is maturity. So being strategic, of course, I agree totally that it's it's much more possible that we will deliver high value for the organization as a whole when you are delivering more strategical stuff. But it doesn't mean that it's the only way. There are some companies, for example, that they decided to have two PMOs. One more focused in the strategic aspects, and another one focused on tactical and operational. If you bring the PMO leader, the second one, and say, hey, if you want to be more mature, you should be more strategic. Probably he or she will tell you, no, that's not my mission. My mission is to be tactical and operational, and I can be mature because I can do this very well. And when you take the strategic PMO and look closer, you can see that this PMO is involved with strategic aspects, but with a very low level of maturity. And why? Because they are, for example, supporting portfolio management, but in a way that it's really shameful, something very, very, very basic. It's a strategic, but it's so basic. It could be much more mature. So we cannot make a confusion between alignment, strategic, tactical, and operational. It depends on the needs and maturity, doing the best way possible what I'm doing. And it can be something strategic, something tactical, something operational.
Thank you so much. There is a question in the chat also, but I wrote it here regarding the obtaining certification. First of all, do you advise people to obtain the examination before January?
So the
Especially,
only
especially,
yeah,
especially, sorry, especially the PMO certified professional.
yeah. So let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you facts, right? The
Okay.
facts are you have access to the guide
Yes.
anyway, right? Uh, in January, we have a different exam. As I said, 120 questions. You have access to the guide anyway. Right now, if you start, you will have a smaller scope. It's true, 40 questions. It doesn't mean that it's easier, not necessarily, but it's different. And that's it. These are the facts. right? So now people should decide what to do. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know if there will be any changes in terms of pricing. I don't have any information about that
yeah, no
yet.
problem.
But yeah, but anyway, basically, technically speaking, those are the differences.
Yeah, and the other thing, the PMO certified consultant, because it is
Yeah, the
close now.
PMOCC. Yeah,
Yes,
when we had the acquisition, everything that we brought, absolutely everything in terms of certifications, projects, everything. Uh, Absolutely nothing was shut down by PMI. So we kept everything, right?
excellent.
But there are some decisions that I'm part of these decisions. For example, some of you probably heard about the fact that we had a software for the previous PMO value ring methodology. This
Yes.
software is being shut down right now. And why? Because there will be something new coming up. And actually, the idea is that we can have a new suite of, of tools that will support the new one, right? So it doesn't make sense to have something that, is not aligned with what's coming up. So this is an example of something that now is being shut down because of that. But until December, from October to December, it will be replaced by a kind of spreadsheet that will give you a possibility of using the most critical features. Of course, it's not like a software, but my plan is to bring everything into PMI Infinity because
Mhm.
we can connect all of this with AI. And this is something really, really cool, right? So, of course, things are not like this, but over 2025, many, many great things will come up, right? So there is something that now is different. In the past, the PMO value ring was 100% connected with a software. Now it's not like that anymore. The guide is not connected with a software, and it's good. It's really good. In the past, it was not it wasn't like that because it was another organization, So it was PMOJ. My idea was different. Now things will be much more closer to the other certifications of PMI, and this is good. Regarding PMOCC, this is another example. Now it's paused. This offering is paused. Nobody can start. In November, we'll have an answer about that, right? So I'm analyzing all the details, but what should happen, I would say 90% of chances. This certification should be sunset, right? And we will have something new to replace it. And why? Because when I created the certification at PMOGA, my idea is that I would certificate like 500 people around the world, and these people would be partners of PMOGA on delivering the new model that will be in the PMO guide, right? But PMI doesn't work like that. It's a little different the way. So, we have ATPs, we have partners. So actually for PMI, a certification that is limited to 500 people, it doesn't make any sense. They don't call it certification. So people that were certified, they will keep their PMOCC credential, but it will not be offered anymore. And it will become probably a kind of learning path, right? It means that when we start with the model, a little more B2B model, uh, people or companies that will become partners, there will be a learning path that will look like the content of PMOCC, but
Mhm.
we will not call it certification because the way that PMI organize the ideas of certification is different. So it's much more an adaptation, and for me, it makes all sense. So more information about that will come up by November, right? But I would say that this is the way that we are trying to go.
Thank you so much. This is an excellent. Another question which I personally experienced. Some consultant company came to you and say, we would like to establish for you a BMO. And when you look for them, it's just a template. And from their own perspective, not what we understood from your course and the certificate, the stakeholder expectation. So what do you think?
Well, you mean like consulting companies that would like to have partnerships for,
No,
is
no,
that what you
no.
have in mind?
No, no. They said their job to establish for you as a institute a BMO office with from their own perspective, like guidelines, templates. But it is not really what we understood from your course and certificate. The BMO based on the stakeholder needs, or sometimes they just copy paste from different.
I understand. They have their all approach, right?
Yes.
Right. Well, there is something interesting, and I truly believe on that. When we started to develop the PMO value ring and now this guide, I had in my I had in my head that we couldn't create something that that was supposedly better than any other approach, right? And why? Because I truly believe that there is no right and wrong. What we have is different perspectives, right? So it means that the way that you do, if it's based on your experience or the experience of your company, who am I to say that you are wrong? It doesn't make sense, right? Of course,
Yes.
it's one perspective. Maybe your perspective will not be the one that will be good for that company, but it will be great for this one, right? So what we created is something that can connect with any of these perspectives. Because again, I'm not telling you what you have to do. I'm just telling you that, hey, that's how you have to think to conclude that your perspective is the best one. You know what I'm saying? So at the
Yes.
end, you can say, oh, yeah, it's mine. Or at the end, you can say, no, maybe not. Maybe I can try something different. So it's something absolutely flexible. I don't believe that there is only one way. There are many, many different ways. But the point is, you cannot say that this is the way just because you had an experience with that. Statistically speaking, your experience is nothing. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
and we don't need to take this risk. We can consider everything because all of these perspectives, they are valuable in some way to be inspired in creating our all solution. That's what the PMO practice guide will let you know, will let you do.
Ex-
Create your all solution based in your experience and supported by the experience of the community. Why not? Right?
Absolutely.
So this is the spirit behind that.
Thank you so much. I will give also the audience, but only two minimal questions. The AI and the revolution of the artificial intelligence. How the BMO looks like, or where class BMO with this revolutionized AI.
Actually, the PMOs will be very impacted by AI. Very, very impacted. We have no idea how much they will be, right? Yet. For example, look, I'm gonna share with you right now something. Look,
Yeah, please.
in the chat. Just 1 second. Let me take this. Okay, if you try, you can download a podcast about everything that we discussed now. This
Aha.
podcast, this podcast was created by me yesterday in 5 minutes with a new AI tool. I uploaded the book, the practice guide, and in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes because I had to download it, right?
Mm.
But in seconds, this new AI tool, it's a Google AI tool, created this podcast. Try to listen to it. It's incredible, incredible, right? And I heard about that for the first time yesterday. I showed it today to PMI CEO, to Pierre, and he said, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" And he started to take many of his articles and create podcasts, with his articles. So it's I've never imagined something like that. It's fantastic. So imagine what will come up, because what we see now is the top, of the iceberg. So actually what will come up in the next months will be something amazing. So there are many, many possibilities that we can already use right now at our PMOs right now. In 1 year there will be things that we cannot even imagine now. What I believe is we need to be open for that. As PMO leaders, PMO practitioners, we have to embrace it, right? Because there are only two possibilities: or you are inside the bus, or you are in front of the bus, right?
Mm.
Because the bus is coming, right?
Yes.
So, and there is nothing that we can do.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I will give, I think, one of the participants, Maawiya. Maawiya raised his hand.
تفضل برا معاذ.
Yes,
Maawiya,
salam,
تفضل.
yes, salam alaikum.
عليكم
Assalamu
السلام.
alaikum.
First of all, I would like to thank Mezap Digital Library for this
Yes.
opportunity. Would like also to thank Prof. Pinto for this very excellent presentation about PMO. Thank you, Mr. Osman, for
Thank
guiding
you.
this discussion. Let me start with the last point. In a very changing world like the revolution of AI, okay, how the MBO look like in very few months, very few years, in a changing world. Also, this may guide to change even the structure of the projects, the types of projects, the needs for projects, the customers, everything. Then, how do MBO can survive within this all these changes? Another thing is this MBO is relevant or applicable for all types of projects. This is public projects, private projects, or with all these changes. Thank
All
you very
right.
much, Mr. Osman.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So, initiating by the end, actually, PMOs can be useful in any kind of industry. So today we have some industries that are very, very strong in terms of PMOs, but it's something that makes sense in every single industry. Where you have projects, there is a space for PMOs, no doubt about that. Regarding AI, I could say that we have two big areas, right? That AI will help us. The first area is about automation. It's something that is available today, right? So it means that, okay, those things that we are doing today, like a podcast, right? Instead of spending 1 week creating a podcast, in 10 seconds you can have what you need. So this is automation. The information is there. Usually it's something about it's related with something that you created in the past. So now I'm using that to automate tasks and activities. So there is a big space for that. However, in my point of view, it's not exactly the most valuable part of everything that AI will bring to us. It's much more about the future. How can I predict things based on AI, right? So for that we need a history of data. We need reliable data, of course, and we need a very powerful AI. So there's a way today. What we try to do is to predict the future based on the past. But with AI, things will be very, very different. There will be new variables that will be brought to this analysis that we cannot do by ourselves. So this is something that I believe it's still in development, but in maybe 1 year, we will start to see things absolutely reliable, things that will really help companies and PMOs to predict the future. So this is, for me, the big value that is coming up.
Thank you so much. There is a
Thank
question
you.
from Mujahid. Guess I will read it. Prof. Americo, thanks a lot. What is your advice about the best way to measure the value or the benefit which not yet realized, but in progress to see whether you are on the right track, especially for intangible ones like health, for example?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you
The,
repeat just at the end?
yeah, the question how you measure the tangible benefits and value of PMO and
Okay.
to know you are in the right track.
All right. So the point is, in the PMO guide, you see that we are connecting what we are doing with why we are doing. So it means that if you map with your customers their pains, for example, your executives are saying that they cannot see a clear connection between projects and the strategy. It's a feeling, right? Okay, how can we deliver this outcome? Oh, we could provide so this is the pain. The medicine is, okay, we will support portfolio management, because if we are supporting portfolio management, the chances of delivering the outcome of a better connection between projects and strategy will be higher. Okay, so we will start to provide portfolio management. So after some time, we will start to measure the value that was delivered. So the first value is a little more measurable. For example, let me check if I can show clearly that now projects are really connected with the strategy, and how. There will be criteria, there will be uh, clear relationships, so all the decision-making process or prioritization were based in a process that can show you that these connections are really clear. Good. This is the first part of measurement. It's step 9. Step 10 is about recognition. So now I'm going to come back to our executives and say, hey, how do you feel now? Do you understand that, now we have a better connection between these two things? Look, it's much more intangible, much more subjective, but it's okay. And they will tell you, oh, yes, now I can see that. It's not a pain anymore. Or they can say, oh, no, or actually, I don't feel really, that I can really trust on that. Or I don't feel that my pain is over. So you have to understand why, right? What happened? Maybe you identify the wrong pain. Maybe what you are delivering is not exactly what they expect. Maybe you are delivering something, but not in the level of, of service that will really heal their pain. There are many, many situations, but now you know what you are doing, right? It's not like, oh, let me try and see what happened. No, no, no. I'm measuring what's measurable, and what is subjective, I'm treating as an intangible thing. It's okay, but I understand what I'm doing. So this is the point. We are not inventing anything. We are just taking care of things in a more structured way. This is the idea.
Thank you so much. I think we maybe have 5 to 10 minutes maximum. Maybe one last question about agile. We have an agile PMO. We implement agile framework, agile methodology. So there is some confusion here. Can you just clarify more?
Very good, very good. We have a specific chapter about that in the guide, because for many years, some people defended that, oh, PMOs and agile, and agile, they are not something that could live together, right? So PMOs doesn't make sense in an agile world, and it's not true. So actually, in the guide, you will see that every PMO should be agile. And why? Not because of the reasons that many people thought that were reasons. Because actually, what makes a PMO agile is much more related with business agility. A PMO is a service provider. And as a service provider, business agility means responsiveness, means adaptability, means flexibility, means delivering value, quick wins in the short term, means focus on your client, right? Your customer, embracing customer centricity. All of these things are related with business agility. If you are providing an agile methodology, an agile tool, it's just a detail. Actually, it doesn't make your PMO agile. In fact, you can be a PMO providing methodologies that are like waterfall methodologies, and you are agile because you are incorporating principles from business agility. And the opposite is true. You can be a PMO that is providing agile methodologies, Scrum, for example, but you don't have you don't have agility in your DNA. And why? Because you believe that everything should be agile and there is nothing beyond that. You are not being responsive. You are not being flexible. You are not being adaptable. So I'm so sorry, but you don't know what agility really means. So every PMO should have agility in its DNA, which doesn't mean that every PMO should use only agile methods or agile tools. They are different things. So that's what we have in the guide. And now we conciliate these two things, and that's why we live in the same world. And hybrid maybe is the answer.
Yeah. Thank you so much. There is, I think, Nahla, maybe the last question, and inshallah we'll conclude. Nahla, and there is a question in the chat also about the material. Nahla, please just unmute yourself. Nahla? Okay. The question is that because we learned there is a maturity assessment tool. This is a question from Abdullah Yassin. Is there any new tool for the maturity assessment?
Yes. Hello, Yasin. Good to see you. Actually, as I told you, we have many new things. First of all, the list of benefits, now it's called outcomes. And we have a new list, right? It's still 30 most common outcomes, but it's something new. Services, we have a new list. It's still 26, but now a new list of services. And for these new services, we developed a new maturity model. But now there is something different. We are not talking about 4 levels anymore. We are talking about 5 levels for each one. So it's more, I could say more well developed. So all of this will be available very soon, and will be part of this new guide. So in December, actually, there will be some specific topics that will come up only with the Standards Plus. For example, a list of indicators for services. It will not be part of the guide right now because it would be too long. A detailed list of competencies per service. Also, it's not available now. It will be a Standard Plus. So there will be something that will come up in the next few months. But the most important points, outcomes, services, maturity, all of this are part of this first edition.
Thank you so much. This is excellent and very interesting. And also let me to thank also Mr. Abdullah Gailey from Mizab Digital Library. Actually, for all this, he broadcast not only for the in the Facebook and the YouTube. Nahla, we will give you the last opportunity. Nahla, yes. Nahla. Just unmute yourself, Abdullah.
نهلا يا دكتورة نهلا عندك.
Yes.
بدون صوت، بس ما في صوت مسموع.
دكتورة نهلة. Nahla, we cannot hear you.
Yeah.
Nahla, maybe you have a problem.
If you try to
Yes.
write your question, maybe it would be easier.
Yeah, just write your question, please. Nahla. So I guess to continue, يعني Mr. Abdullah Gailey, يعني he's grateful. Yeah, they have a lot of activity in Al-Mizab. They organize with us this webinar. Thank you so much. And maybe at the end we have a certificate for you, Mr. Professor Americo. Can you just share with us, Mr. Abdullah? Virtual. Yes.
Fantastic. Nice.
Thank you so much. Actually, this is a certificate from the Sudanese CBHQ, CIC,
thank you very much.
and Six Sigma Group. Gratefully acknowledge the outstanding contribution of you, Professor Americo, and definitely this is will add value to our thinking and insight, and definitely will be يعني, a landmark for everyone here, definitely to move further because we change our ideas. I think Nahla asked the question, but there is Abdelaziz. So Abdelaziz, last chance, please. Abdelaziz.
افتح المايك من عندك عبد العزيز. ابو يزيد، تفضل ابو يزيد.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Americo, for this valuable information and for this presentation. My question is, if you establish a PMO, how to deal with the client who does not understand what he wants, and he established a PMO to go a trend, not understand what he wants.
I understand. Very good. Excellent.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, there is a specific chapter in this new guide that is about the organizational contextual scenarios. It's something really interesting. It's part of the PMO. For those that are PMO-CC certified, it's something that we discussed in the content of this certification. So the point is, when you are starting a new PMO, or when you have a PMO, actually, there is something very important that is understand where you are, right? So there are different scenarios. For example, one of the scenarios that can be exactly what you were talking about is what we called a green field. A green field is like, you know, when you see that beautiful green field in front of you and you say, wow, I could have anything I want here. But you cannot start to seed in a green field. And why? Because it's not prepared for that. You know, if you try to seed in a green field, probably you have no result. First, you have to prepare the land, right? And it means that in a practical perspective, there are some companies that they don't have enough culture and maturity to minimally understand the value of a PMO, minimally, right? So it means that sometimes what we have to do is start from the beginning, start from creating this awareness. Remember, I told you that the first step of the flywheel was awareness building, exactly because of that. Because without awareness, without a minimum culture or maturity, it's really difficult to make these people see why a PMO could be helpful, even in the executive level. And this is something interesting because usually we say, okay, this guy is an executive. So he or she knows about what I'm understand what I'm talking about. And it's not true because these people, they are really good in the business. There is no doubt. Otherwise, they would not be in their position. But it doesn't mean that they understand about our topics. Sometimes we are talking with children, right? And we need to raise them. We need to evolve them. So this way they will understand the value of what we are doing after some time. So that's why I told you that one of the most important points was the PMO strategy. Because in your strategy, that's something that you have to consider. Sometimes you start in a very simple way because it's what it's possible now. Otherwise, if you push too much, your customers, they cannot absorb what you are trying to do because they don't know that they don't know. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So this is the point. We have to respect the culture and the maturity of our customers. If we go too fast, probably they will reject what we are trying to do. I know sometimes it's painful, but this is how things are, right? We are service providers. If you want to make our customers buy something from us, we have to make them see the value of what we are providing. And if you say, no, Americo, actually, they already see that, but they still don't see the value. Maybe the problem now is with you. Maybe what you are proposing can be valuable in your mind, but it's not exactly what they see as valuable for their real pains. So it's another side of this discussion. You know what I mean? But anyway, there is something, and you have to understand what's happening.
Thank you so much. I think we need to conclude now, but I would like to thank Bayezid, a great question. And I remember Professor Americo in the course of PMO, you mentioned the analogy of the service provider and the patient. We are the doctors. The patient came to us, he didn't know what he has. But we know the technical stuff. So it is not necessarily you say the customer don't know, the patient don't know, but you need to diagnose him appropriately to give the appropriate treatment. This is your notion. So you can
Exactly.
conclude, Professor Americo.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. So it's a diagnosis, right? And sometimes this is the way that we help our customers to evolve with them, to raise, to make them feel that we are true partners, a real asset for them, because we are there when they need, anytime they need, in any situation, in any scenario, even when there is a low maturity.
Thank you so much, really, Professor Americo. This is very useful, and I'm sure we saw a lot of response even in the WhatsApp. It's very interesting and a lot of knowledge. Thank you so much, and we are looking forward to have from you not a webinar but a training program, inshallah, later. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great pleasure. If anyone need anything, count me in. And I hope that we can meet in Turkey, right? In
Inshallah,
December.
in December.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Actually, this conference was organized in Turkey this year exactly because of all our members that live in the region, in the Middle East, because I know that it's easier for everyone to go to Istanbul. So I really expect that we have a great group of people from the region. You will be very, very, very welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for this very fruitful discussion. Also, our appreciation to Mr. Abdullah Gailey, who prepared all this fantastic thing. Thanks again, and we are looking forward to meet you in another topic, in another webinar. Thank you again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Assalamu alaikum.